Hey everyone, this is a presentation I gave at Foothill College a while back, and so let's give it a go. It's called Milkshakes, Tailgates, and Global Warming. So this is a milkshake. Question number 1. Can you imagine any problems if your mom gave you that milkshake to share with your little brother? Next question is this. This is a tailgate. If you were at this tailgate and you had an empty cup, what would you do? Okay, how are these two problems similar? Well, we could say that consumption is rival in both cases. Clearly, if your brother drinks more milkshake, then there's less for you. And if your friend drops a cup on the field, then they're kind of consuming the field in the sense that the field is now more dirty for everyone. So in that sense, it's rival consumption. Also, we could say consumption is non-excludable. If you're sharing a cup and it's your brother's turn to drink, it's difficult to stop him from drinking more. And it's also quite difficult in the midst of a tailgate to stop people from dropping a cup on the ground. So non-excludable. And these are the characteristics of a tragedy of the commons. Rival consumption and non-excludability. How do you solve these problems? Well, the milkshake problem is actually pretty easy. I think even the kids could figure it out. We might not need a government agency to solve the milkshake problem. If you split the milkshake into 2 cups, you effectively create excludability, and then you can optimize the consumption rate of the milkshake to maximize your utility. How about the tailgate? A little more complicated. You could try for cooperation, so ask people to do the right thing, not pollute. We could have more policing, so have some security guards or somebody there to make sure or try to stop people from dropping cups on the ground. Or you could lower the cost of compliance, make it easy to do the right thing, such as in this picture, placing lots of garbage cans around, so maybe people will naturally throw cups away more if it's easy to do so. All right. Of course, what we do in that case is we just ignore it and we clean up later for the tailgate, right? So now when you do this kind of stuff, ideally you want to make the users pay. So in increasing order of preference, I would say, generally you can make taxpayers pay for this. If this is a school tailgate, maybe put it in school fees, or even better, if this is at a football game, you could embed the cleanup costs in the price of the ticket to the football game, or even better than that would be to have a fee for using the field, and it comes with a cleaning deposit, and if the field is clean, then they get the deposit back. If not, then the deposit is used to clean up the field. That's what I would prefer to do to solve this problem. Again, it's a pretty trivial problem, and we can easily correct for it after the damage is done. Okay, well, maintaining a cool climate has the characteristics of a tragedy of the commons. When a cow burps in Iowa, it's emitting some methane gas, and that methane gas is polluting for all of us. So just like dropping a cup on the ground, the cow is consuming the climate in a way that makes it worse for everyone around. It's also extremely non-excludable, so it's very difficult to stop that cow from burping or to have people not emit greenhouse gases. Unfortunately, unlike the tailgate, it's not quite such a trivial problem for many reasons. First, no one's cleaning up yesterday's party. So it's like the plastic cups just keep on piling up. It's a cumulative impact that we're experiencing. The costs are uncertain and in the future. And, we humans are not so good at taking action against uncertain future costs. Self-interest often overrides doing the right thing. So, for example, I drive to school every day. I go to school. And for me, the benefit of driving to school greatly exceeds the cost of driving to school, because it's a little wear and tear on my car and the price of gas. If I weren't going to drive to school and not consume any fossil fuels as I do that, I have to walk or bike. That's going to take a long time. I'm going to get all sweaty, and I won't be able to take my stuff so easily. So I decide that, the benefit of driving exceeds the cost of driving for me, and so I just choose to drive every day. And I'm not the only one that makes that very rational decision. So doing the right thing is not so easy in that case. Raise your hand if you are concerned about global warming. Okay, I see some hands up. Raise your hand if you flew on an airplane or had a hamburger or a steak last year. Yeah, I see lots of the same hands out there. Yeah, the point of that is that even those that are very concerned about global warming are probably taking actions that are grossly emitting greenhouse gases when they make their self-interested actions. It's a problem. Another problem, more people are joining the party. So there are 7.5 billion people on this planet. Most of them are actually too poor to eat meat and fly in airplanes, but they're getting wealthier. And they're going to want to do those things too. So this party is growing. And of course, some special interests are actually getting paid. The whole fossil fuel industry, the coal industry, they're getting paid to produce their goods, and it's like people are getting paid to drop cups on the ground. They have a lot of self-interested reasons to be against changing that situation. This, of course, the consumption of fossil fuels is a classic negative externality. I think you can see this here. What we're saying is that the social cost of consumption exceeds the private cost, right? And so the market price we're getting does not include the social cost. And so we're getting this price is not labeled here, but this price here and that quantity, right? But in fact, there is some degree of social cost. And so the true cost of society is something much greater than the price we're paying, and that is the market failure, right? We're not taking that into account. We're not paying the true price of the goods we're consuming when it comes to fossil fuels and other greenhouse gases. So how do you modify the behavior? Well, you can read in your book about these kind of things. There's the idea of cooperation, trying to do the right thing. Of course, as I've already kind of mentioned, that's probably not going to be enough because it's nice to drive cars and fly in airplanes. We could try command and control techniques. The Clean Air Act is an example of a government law that tries to limit the amount of pollution. That is something. We could do some more market-friendly things like taxes. So we tax the consumption of pollution or the production of pollution. And pollution permits, which are very interesting and fun to look at, that can also be used. That also effectively raises the price and therefore motivates proper behavior change. So these are good ideas. The problem, of course, is, we don't like paying more. In 2018, California implemented a 12-cent per gallon gasoline tax. That's the right direction to go. Problem is, even in progressive and wealthy California, people don't like it. So there is a movement, and it looks like perhaps the gasoline tax will be repealed in November 2018. If you're watching this after that, then you will know whether or not it was repealed. Another example is just recently in Brazil, truckers basically brought the country to a standstill by clogging up the freeways. Why? Because the government was going to begin reducing the subsidy for diesel. And so they're getting diesel at a subsidized price. Well, they like that. If you try to remove that, they're going to often violently protest. Here's another tax. I found this on the internet. In New Zealand, they wanted to begin taxing livestock that is kind of the right idea because they do emit a lot of greenhouse gases. But of course, people are going to fight these taxes. So this is a very difficult situation, which is why it's such a problem. There's a clever answer which doesn't get enough press, and it's this. We could implement those taxes, implement the pollution taxes, but at the same time, we could reduce income taxes by an equivalent amount. And there are advantages to this. Of course, a large tax on those products would get everyone to start acting in the socially appropriate way. Adam Smith's invisible hand here is not working. It's a market failure because we're not paying the full price. Well, if we try to get that price closer to the full price, then we can let Adam Smith's invisible hand do its magic. If you reduce income taxes by an equivalent amount, that's actually good because it's increasing the rewards to work, right? Taxes are a disincentive to work, and so by reducing income taxes and moving us more to consumption tax, that's actually productive for the economy. And we could make that revenue neutral simply to eliminate the anti-tax argument. So again, a lot of people are going to be against higher taxes, but we could make the argument, yeah, but we're going to have no new net taxes. We're just going to change the way we tax ourselves. So in fact, it's revenue neutral. There are no new taxes. We can do this in a way that protects the poor, even benefits the poor. So what we could do is when we reduce income taxes, okay, for all, we could make that refundable, which simply means that once you get to the point where your income taxes are gone, any excess beyond that, you actually get a check from the government. We do have some programs like that. And so this would, for the population that gets in that situation, they'll actually be getting a check from the government in place of paying income tax. People that don't use a lot of, or don't consume a lot of greenhouse gases would actually gain from this because the refund they get as we redistribute this or lower income taxes would outweigh the taxes they would be paying in the form of consumption of greenhouse gases. Large users, on the other hand, would of course pay more. So a plane ticket, let's just say, for example, a plane ticket doubles in price. Okay, it should double in price, right? And if it were to double in price, then I might not so quickly, fly to Las Vegas on the weekend. That's what we want, right? We want people to start acting on the margin, millions of people on the margin making better choices because we respond to incentives. If the hamburger at the store is not $5 but $10, well, perhaps I choose to have pasta instead. That's the kind of thing we want to have people do, and I don't think it's going to work. It's certainly not working well just to depend on people, cooperating. I think hitting them in the pocketbook is the best method of getting people to do the right thing. So how do we get this done? Well, we do elect our leaders, right? And so people that are progressive, they certainly should be for this because it fixes the problem. It's addressing the problem. And the benefit here is even those on the conservative side, they shouldn't be opposed to this because there's no new net taxes. In fact, as we say, it's the positive work incentives. We're using markets to achieve the problem. So I think both sides of the aisle here could get behind this. There are some difficulties with this idea. Of course, there's just the momentum of maintaining the status quo. It's just difficult to make changes, especially big changes like this. Yes, even though there's no new net taxes, of course, there are winners and losers. And so, the fossil fuel industry in general would be very, very much against this. And so we have to win that argument. Measuring how big these taxes should be is a difficult question. So we should work on that. But even if we don't have it exact, we could move toward this direction, certainly. And of course, this is a global problem. It's not just the United States. The whole world has to get on board with this. But this could be, again, a possible path that other countries could follow. If we do nothing, which is very possible, then what's going to happen is maybe technology helps us out. So there are things like carbon capture, where we can capture some of these greenhouse gases and put them back in the ground. So essentially, cleaning up after the party. Things like that could work. Of course, what is definitely happening is we are lowering the cost of doing the right thing. So electric cars are coming, solar panels and solar energy is coming, and that is allowing us to, again, it's kind of like putting a lot of garbage cans around. It's making it easier and easier for us to do the right thing. Those things are happening, and that's going to keep on happening. But, of course, it's already kind of too late. We're going to also have to adapt. So we're going to have to, build levees, move and adjust our crops and all this stuff, because even if certainly if we do nothing, it's going to happen. Even if we take quick action, we're still going to have to adapt. This isn't a great situation, because I believe the poor countries, those in Bangladesh, for example, they're going to suffer the most from all of this, and they're not going to get a compensation from the rich world. And of course, it's the rich world that created the problem. But that's just the sad, dismal reality from the dismal science. Okay, I had to pause there, so I think I was on this slide. I just wanted to note that we could, I'd also would be in favor of raising this on a global scale, so to make a World Environment Organization. We have a World Trade Organization. We have other international organizations. If we had a World Environment Organization, perhaps we would have a better chance of getting the wealthy countries pitching in to assist the poorer countries adapt to the problem of climate change. And I think that is all I have. So if you'd like to comment down there. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you. And goodbye.